In this tutorial, we're going to be looking at InDesign. We looked at some basics of InDesign already, but now I'm going to go through still basics, but some advanced things that we need to know about InDesign. So here I've set up a little lecture sheet for us to kind of go through. It's a little two-pager, just going to show us some quick ideas about InDesign and best practices and how we should work with InDesign as well. The very first thing that I normally do in InDesign when I open up is I go to my view and I go to extras, and show frame edges is already on. Now for me that's a bit of a pain. I don't like it. Now we know that everything is the color blue. Everything's outlined blue because the layer is blue. If I want to change the color of the layer, I just double click on the open space and I could change up the color to whatever I want. I would change it to red. I could play around, change the name of the layer, show a different bunch of different features there, but doesn't matter. Just to show you that you can double click and change the color of whatever you wanted there. Now this is normally by default what you have. So what I do is I go to view and I go to extras and I hide the frame edges because I just see a little bit less. Now the other thing that you can see that I have here, which is important, I have all these little icons here, these characters that are in red. Now those are my hidden characters. If I go to type and hide hidden characters, those would be gone. But I like them on. I like designing with them on because I'm able to see every little thing that I need to do with my characters. All the little hidden things that sometimes will cause issues, I now have access to them. I can see them and see what's going on. Now we know that these number signs mean the end of a story or end of something, where these are hard returns. These are hard, that means it goes to the next line, but we're going to talk about that a little bit later. And all these little spaces in between are obviously spaces. These little dots signify spaces, but we're going to talk about that too. So the very first thing I want to look at are how we work with InDesign. It's fine, the idea that people like to use multiple text boxes for something, but the idea behind InDesign is control over your text, control over all of your type. Now these are all individual text frames. This is great, but if I wanted to highlight all of that, if I wanted to change this, say, to a different typeface, well, that'd be very difficult because I'd have to do that here, change it, do that, select it, change it, select it, change it. Where if everything was just in one text box, unlike these three texts, just one text box, that's all I have to do, Command A, and it selects everything all at once. I could change up the typeface or anything I want to everything all at once. So once again, we want ultimate control over our type in a very simple way. So we want to kind of limit the amount of text frames we have to a small amount. So if that works for you, we need to start working like that. So that's the ideal thing to do. The next thing I want to look at is case. We have uppercase, lowercase, title case, and sentence case. So if a client were to give you a tons of type to work with and it was all uppercase, well, how do you change it? Normally back in the day, you would obviously have to retype it all out, but now you can just go to type and change the case. So uppercase obviously is everything uppercase. Lowercase is everything lowercase. Title case is every word beginning has an uppercase letter or a capital letter and then lowercase. And then sentence case, just like all sentences, has a beginning letter is uppercase and then everything is lowercase. So we could easily change that. Say, no, I don't want my uppercase to be that. I just go to type, change case to any case I want. Uppercase, lowercase, title case, sentence case. There's lowercase and it changes it. I want to change this to all uppercase. I could change the case to title case or whatever I want to do. So there's an easy way to change up your cases. So just to show you that, a very good thing to know. Linking text boxes. This is very important. So I have three text boxes here that are all supposed to be together. And what I did was, let me show you really quickly. I'm just going to put these to the side. I'm going to grab the text tool. Now we know we can't just click on the text tool and start typing. That doesn't work in InDesign. Everything in InDesign for the text has to be in a text frame. The type has to be in a text frame. So what I'm going to do, I just clicked and dragged a type frame, and now I'm going to do just go to type and fill with placeholder text, and there's my placeholder text. Great. So now what I want to do is I want to make more boxes that are connected to this type, so I could put more type. But what seems to happen, what some people do is have separate text boxes. I'm just holding on Option and Shift and duplicating those text boxes. Now if I select that type, that's it. That's all the type I have selected. I select that type, all the type I have selected. What I want to do is I want to connect these boxes all together, these frames. I say boxes, I mean frames, interchangeable term. I want to connect all these together. Now look down here. These ones are unlinked. Look at the ones that are linked together. If I just double click here, now I'm playing with the type. So once again, just to go through that one more time, if I click once on the frame, I'm accessing the frame. I can move the frame around, do whatever I want with it, change up the size of it, whatever. If I double click inside of any frame, I'm playing with the content inside of the frame. So now, if I Command A, look what happened. It selected all the type. All these frames, these 3 frames are connected. They're linked together. The quick way to do that is to look at these little boxes here. So at this box right here, this bigger white box, and look, there's a box here too. So there's a box here and a box here, a box here and a box here. It happens on every single frame. What I can do, this is called the outport, and this is the import. So just on one, you have the import, outport, import, outport, import, or outport. So that's all I have to do is click on the outport. And look what it shows me. The cursor shows me I have this text that's about to go somewhere. Where do I, when I hover over, look, it turns into a link icon. I'm about to link these together. Clicked, linked. Now watch what happens. If I double click on this type, Command A, those 2 boxes are linked together. Now that's all I have to do for this one as well. Click on the outport and click onto this other frame or any other frame, quite frankly, and now they're all connected. Command A, all connected. Now here's another little trick to help us see that. View, extras, show text threads. Look what that does. That shows us that this type goes from here and is connected here, goes from here, it's connected here, goes up, and that's how that's connected. That's as far as it goes, and it stops there. And we know it stops because that little number sign or hashtag, whatever you want to consider it, pound sign, is showing us it's the end of the story, end of the information there. Now these ones are connected too. If I click on these ones, once again, the thread shows me how they're connected. I'm going to shut that off now, extras, hide text threads. So that's how you connect type. Let me show you one more way that you might want to do that. So I'm just going to move this over because these ones are already connected. That's what we like. So if I have a situation like this, I have a bunch of type inside of one text frame, and look what happens down here. We've seen this before. There's a plus sign in the output. That plus sign means there's overwritten text or overset text, meaning there's more content, more type in this text frame that you cannot see. So I could either really expand my text frame to see it all, and then we see it's at the end, or I could make new text frames just from this plus sign. I'm going to click on this frame, click on the plus sign, and look what happens. I have my cursor turn into saying, hey, listen, there's more text in here. Where do you want to put it? I'm just going to do something very simple. I'm just going to click and drag, and I have my grid set up. So I'm just going to click inside my grid from gutter to gutter, inside. There's my frame. There's my text, the rest of the text. Now, if I shrink this up 2 or 3 lines, watch what happens. It spills over into the next frame. If I want to say, you know what, I want this one to be smaller and this one to be smaller here too, look what happens. I have a plus sign again. I click on that plus sign, click and drag, and look at that. Now all my type, once again, is still connected, perfect. If I want to, because I wasn't doing a great job with lining these up, I just select all these frames, and I'm going to do a key alignment. I'm just going to have everything selected. I'm going to click one more time on something I want to align it to, the key object, so everything will be aligned. So if I have this down here and I have this down here, if I select one frame, select the other frames, go back to the original frame that I want everything to align to. I want everything to align to the top here. I click on it one more time, look what happens. A larger red boundary box goes around it, and I'm just going to say align to the top. Watch, this one's going to come down, this one's going to come up, because they're going to align to the top of this one, just like that. Perfect. That's the key object. It's a really great way to align things. Align to selection, key object, right now is not highlighted, margins, page, and spread. Okay, so that's linking and unlinking. And if you want to unlink, you could do that as well, just by clicking on here, and we can now unlink it somehow. Okay, that took me a while, but my apologies. So what I did was I had it, it's linked. I'm just going to hold down Option and click back on the original one that I have it on, and now that box is obviously unlinked. Just like that, it's no longer there. So Option click on your import, and it will unlink it quite nicely. Okay, there we go. So the next one I have here is my paragraph styles. Very important. So I'm going to open up paragraph styles. To open them up, go to Window and Styles and Paragraph Styles. So what's going to open up with them usually are the character styles and object styles as well. There are also table styles and cell styles, but we're not going to worry about table styles right now. We're just going to focus on character, object, and paragraph styles. So here's my paragraph styles open right here. So what paragraph styles do, they allow me to create a style in one way and then use that style, connect that style to many other text frames or paragraphs, just paragraphs, and I only have to change it in one spot and they all change together. Now keep in mind, imagine if I had a 100-page book, a 1,000-page novel, whatever it is, and I want to have them all connected. First of all, they should all be connected, which these ones currently are not, but that's okay. They should all be connected, and they should be all connected to a style. Now automatically, what happens is right now I have no style set up, which is great. This is all fine. I have a style that is set up actually. There's a default style. The default style is, it shows you right here, basic paragraph. Okay, so right now my basic paragraph style is Mini and Pro regular, 12 point with automatic leading, metric, I can't even talk right now. Metric kerning, zero tracking, and all the rest default stuff that we normally have. Now that is a style. That is a style set up. But if I want to make a new style, what I'm going to do, there's a couple different ways to do it. I'm going to click on the plus sign. And the plus sign shows me paragraph style 1. I'm just going to call this body. When I double clicked on it, it opened up a huge paragraph style. Now I'm not going to go through all this entirely. I'm going to just show you some basic things we need to know about paragraph styles. And I'm just going to say, okay, so there is my body style. Now what I can also do is connect this type to, right now it's basic paragraph. I could also connect it to body style. All right. Now this one is not connected to body. So I selected, and yes, it's not connected to body. And for right now, I'm not going to connect it to body because I want to show you something. What I can do with these two separate text frames, but that are connected to the body paragraph style, I'm going to double click on body. I'm going to have my preview on, and I'm just going to click on basic character formats. Now what I can do with that, watch what happens when I change my basic character formats, which is my typeface, my font, my size, my leading. I'm just going to say, you know what, I don't like the typeface minion. I just want to change it to, let's go to Garamond, which I got Gotham here. I'm going to click on Gotham. Look what happened. These two changed to Gotham. This one did not because it was not connected to body. Now if I say, you know, it's a little too big, I'm going to shrink it down, I shrink it down. I could do anything. I could change the color, change it to yellow, that's a little too much right there. I can change it to magenta. Those change automatically. So once again, imagine I have a 100-page book, tons of type, and I want to change it all. I send it to the client sees it, they're like, oh, you know what, I want to change the typeface. Imagine having to go into every text frame or all the type and have to change it all manually. Or you could have your paragraph style set up once and change it in one location. Look at all the different things we can change. We can change our paragraph formats, advanced character formats, so these are these options over here. Indents and spacing, tab, paragraph rules, paragraph border, paragraph shading. Keep options we're not too familiar with, we don't use too often because we're doing smaller units of type. If we're making novels and large books, we're going to use that. Hyphenation, justification, span columns, drop caps we've seen in the paragraph style, the paragraph panel. Grep styles using code to change up some type. Bullets and numbering, the character color, open type features, underline options, strike through options, and export text. So there's a lot you could do with paragraph styles, which is fantastic. But right now, I just want to look at that, and there we go. So I didn't save that, my apologies, so I should go basic paragraphs, change that again really quickly to Gotham, wherever we were. And there I go. And obviously I could change up that type size and change up the color. Okay. Okay, now I've done that, it's saved. Now there's another way to make paragraph styles very simply. So I have a new text frame and I have some type. I'm going to right click, fill with placeholder text, and I'm going to change it here. I'm going to say, you know what, I want this to be, for some reason, brush script, and I'm going to say I want it to be very small, smaller 10 point, and I want to change up the leading, and I want it to be optical, and I want whatever. I want some tracking in there, which you shouldn't do, which I'm going to talk about later. With scripts, you shouldn't change up the tracking or the kerning because they have to be connected. These serifs have to be, or these scripts have to be connected. Either way, that's a good reason why I'm doing that. And let's pretend this is it. So now what I can do with this is select this new type, this new style, and make it a new style. And just go to new, and I'm going to call it script, let's just say, because it's a script paragraph, and that's it. Now if I want, I can connect that type, that style to type. Look at that. It's connected. Now if I double click on the script and say, you know what, I'm not crazy about that script, I'm not crazy about the kerning and all the, I'm going to say metric, and I'm going to get rid of the tracking, and look, it changed it for both. That's how paragraph styles work. Now here's something else we can just quickly understand. If I press enter, look what shows up. I have a hard return. I'm going to press it one more time just to separate them, and I have two paragraphs. Look what happens. Even though they're inside the same text frame, I could actually have two different paragraph styles in one text frame. The style is attached to a paragraph. That's it. So you can have many, many paragraphs with many different paragraph styles inside one text frame. Now watch something else here. Instead of doing a hard return, which is just enter, I'm going to do a soft return, which is shift enter. I pressed shift enter. I'm going to press it one more time. That is the icon or the hidden character for a soft return. Now what a soft return does, it allows you to keep the same style even though you have different paragraphs with a break in between. So now if I click on this and click on a new style, what should happen is both should change. And they do. Because I did a soft return. So if you want your styles to stay connected through different paragraphs, use a soft return and not a hard return. A hard return will break up the paragraphs, but a soft return will break them up but keep them connected with styles. So that's an important thing to know too. Okay. Character styles. Character styles are great too, but what character styles do are allow you to make changes inside of a paragraph style. Let me open up my character styles right there. Same idea, very similar, but less things you could do with a character style. So what I have here, I have a style. Let me actually set it up to be my body style, which we're familiar with. And now I say, you know what? I want to change just this word. If I wanted to change just that word, I can't change a style. I can click on a paragraph style. It changes the whole paragraph. I have to make a new character style because I want to style a specific character or text, line of text, or individual character, letters, numbers, anything, and only style that. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to make a new style in my character styles and double click. And I want to say that I want this style to be maybe a different typeface altogether. Let's just go with anything, that's fine, Alio. And I'm going to change up the color. So now look at the character styles. Far less here to do than in the paragraph styles. Character styles you can change here, advanced character formats, change color, open features, all these ones, but that's it. Not many other, because many of the paragraph characteristics are reserved for the paragraph styles. Characters or individual characters, there's not much you could do with them, with individual characters. So let's just change the color to black, and that's it. I'm just going to say, okay, there is my new style. I'm just going to say, let's just call it black for now, because it's going to change it to black. And that's it. Now, if I want, I could select another piece of type and make it that style. But it changes the style inside of a style. So character styles inside of a paragraph style, which is a great way to use paragraph styles. Sorry, paragraph styles and character styles. Now the last one I want to show you here is object styles. Very similar, but what you could do here is you can now make styles just in the same way as paragraph and character styles, but with objects. So let's look at the object style. Let's make a new one. I'm going to make new. I'm going to double click on it and look at all the different things I can do with an object. Fill, stroke, stroke corners. I can play around with all the different effects, transparency, drop shadow, inner shadow. A lot of different things I can do here. Let's just add a drop shadow to it. I got my first of all, sorry, let me add a fill because that's just going to play with a stroke. If I go to the fill and click on the fill, I'm going to make it blue, let's say, and I'm going to go to my drop shadow, and there's my drop shadow. Obviously, every time I use drop shadows, when we're talking about effects, we're talking about simplicity, subtlety. Okay, so there's a drop shadow on there. I'll say, okay. Now what I can do, it's a style. Look what I can do. I can select other objects and make a style. The style is selected. It's attached to these. So if I click on that, good. Now if I want, it's like, you know what? I'm not happy with that fill. Let me go back to the fill. Let me change that to whatever. Green, okay, there I am. If I want to change the shadow, whatever I want to do, I want to add things. There is my object style. Okay, and I could attach object styles to type as well. Now, obviously that's a bit much, but that's something you could do as well. The text frame it attaches to. Okay, so that's character styles, paragraph styles, and object styles. Now, here is something I just want to show you really quickly. There's two types of kerning. There's a metric kerning, optical kerning, and obviously with kerning, you could obviously do even more kerning with negatives and positives. But just to show you with scripts, when we're looking at a normal, this is a sans serif typeface, when we're looking just a normal one, you can see that this is metric and this is optical. I changed it to optical. I like changing all my type to optical. It's going to metrically, well, have your type spaced out metrically using mathematics and proper spacing in this regard. Optical will have it look, what it would look like visually, how it will visually change the spacing in between. Now it's subtlety here. Let's zoom in a little bit so we could get a better sense of it. Subtlety change here, it's a little tighter than it is here. The metric version, once again here, a little tighter compared to there, and the O is much closer now. So the optical way of looking at type for me is better than the metric way. It tightens up that kerning. It makes it a little bit more legible, that tiny little bit more readable. However, if I have a script typeface, I do not want to do that. My metric version is the way that it was designed and I should keep. Now there is a little extra there that maybe I want to even tighten that up even more so. If I want to make it a little more negative, bring it together. However, if you choose optical, it will split apart those connections, those brush strokes that are supposed to stay connected. It will spread them apart, which we don't want. So kind of even more that idea. That's usually what happens, and that's not the way to play with scripts. So just a quick understanding of how we play with type in InDesign, how we play with styles, how we link our boxes together, and a few extra best practice cases in InDesign.